All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is joining me right now, my first guest. She's Funmilola Odumuboni. She's the partner at Deloitte. We'll be talking about navigating cyber security risk in the country. All right, let's start. Let's get started. Fumi, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. I've gone through your reports, and your report makes a strong point for that cyber threats in Nigeria are becoming more sophisticated, more automated, and faster. Do you think that organizations in Nigeria are structurally equipped to respond to that speed today? I do know about banks, for example, in the financial space, and even some other companies that have lost so much money to cyber security risks. So are companies in Nigeria structurally equipped to move with the pace at which cybersecurity is coming up?
Okay, that's a very good question. In terms of innovation in Nigeria, it's moving very, very fast. And in terms of instant payments, Nigeria is one of the top 10 countries around the world that have the largest volume of instant payments. So we are moving very fast in terms of digital innovation. However, we are not moving at the same pace when it comes to cybersecurity. So a lot of organizations still take cybersecurity as a technology issue, and they do not prioritize real cybersecurity. There are some industries whereby the regulators have put in guardrails, policies, and procedures that the people within their space are supposed to abide by. But this is not consistent across all industries. So you have industries like the FSI, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has put in a lot of policies, and they have frameworks that they are supposed to work with. But you see other industries like probably the hospitality industry and other airlines and other industries that have very little in terms of enforcement or in terms of policies that they're supposed to work by for cybersecurity. So that inconsistency is causing a ripple effect, because in reality, all the companies in all these industries are interrelated. We want to be able to go to a hotel and pay with our bank. We want to be able to make a purchase on a on a retail platform and actually use payment. So if all these industries are do not collaborate when it comes to enforcing the same security baseline, then we would be in where we are today.
Okay, I like that you highlighted data protection. So let me talk a bit about that. We have the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, I think, if I'm not mistaken, NDPC. Yes, I spoke with I can't remember the title now, whether it's MD or DG of the NDPC some time ago, and he watches the show, so perhaps he's even watching at this program. This edition, what am I trying to highlight? I'm trying to highlight a shift in awareness, which you talked about in your report, to enforcement under the Data Protection Act. What does enforcement really look like in practice for businesses in 2026? Or even beyond 2026?
Okay. The Nigerian Data Protection Act came into law, was signed into law in 2023. And so for many organizations, it's still something new, something they're trying to understand. The GIAD, that's like application directives, how it's supposed to be implemented within organization, was released by the NDPC last year in 2025. So people are still trying to understand what are the implications and what they need to do within their organization to actually be in adherence with the law. However, the regulator is actually beginning to hold people accountable for breaches when it comes to data privacy and protection. So the regulator, I know there are some instances where some organizations have been called to account. They've been called to question, and investigations have been actually launched against them due to probably customers going to the regulator saying that, okay, my data, I don't know how my data got to this organization, and my data is being used by them. I'm seeing evidence of that. And recently we've seen a number of cyber attacks that have even divulged personal information of the citizens, and the NDPC has actually been in the forefront saying that they're investigating these incidents to see where what happened and how we can ensure that it doesn't happen in the future. So when a regulation comes out, you first start with if you don't do something well, they will just tell you, correct you. But now, if you don't do something well, you can actually get fined. If you do not put in the right processes, the right procedures in order to protect your customer information and personal information of your customers, you can actually get the long rod of the regulator and get fined.
Let's talk about what you guys said about attackers already using AI for resonance and evasion. Are defenders already behind in this AI arm race? Because everything now is about AI, whether generative, agentic, or whatever it is. Are we now behind? Because it seems the attackers are up front and center.
Yeah. The attackers are really leveraging AI tools, because a lot of these tools are actually free, and there's a place called the dark web, which is like the underworld, whereby you can even rent attackers and ask them to launch attacks for you. So in terms of emerging technology, AI and all, attackers are really leveraging that. But on the defensive side, we are actually leveraging it, but not at the same pace. And you must really understand that on the defensive side, we are trying to protect organizations. We have a lot of things to grapple with: business, customers. We don't want to disrupt the business. But the attackers do not have all those restrictions. So they're able to test things, and if it breaks, it breaks. But from the defensive side, you would not want it to break. So you would kind of be more cautious. But what we are trying to do, and what we are saying, is that we need to ensure that we have a way whereby we're able to share intelligence. Intelligence is how we can know when things are happening. So what we've seen happen over the past couple of months and even years is that when attackers launch an attack on a particular organization, they replicate those attacks on several similar organizations. Now, if there is no form of threat intelligence collaboration across these organizations, we would see that we would have issues whereby several organizations are being attacked with the same mechanism. And so that's why we even publish the cybersecurity outlook every year, in order to help with this intelligence sharing, and so that people are aware of the things that are going to happen over the next year. So back to your question, are the defensive guys trailing behind? It may look like that, but we would continue. We would not relent. We would continue to be one step ahead. And another thing we say in cybersecurity is that as much as you try to defend your systems, the clincher, or the very important thing, is your ability to detect when the bad guys are inside your environment and be able to recover. Just like how you have doors in your houses, but you would still have security cameras that would help you detect when someone that is malicious comes into your environment. The same way in the technology environment, you should have monitoring, so that you are able to detect, you are able to contain and recover quickly, so that the impact of those attacks would not be detrimental to the business.
The report says that authorized access is the biggest risk. How should organizations rethink internal control and employee access. For example, there are some websites I would like to perhaps read something from. You will see agree or something, save and exit. I'm a bit, I don't just want to point because they're asking you for your permission, definitely. But if you don't do that, you're not going to see what you want to see. You understand? So I assume that is part of what you mean by authorized access. So how do we begin to rethink control?
So a very good question, and I think awareness has to happen across all levels. And you are on the right track, saying that if a website is telling you to agree, you will actually look at it closely. What am I agreeing to? That is the first area where we need to ensure that everybody has this level of skepticism. You don't just agree to anything except you read it and understand what you are agreeing to. That's the first level. The second level is ensuring that identities across the organization, there's a concept called zero trust. Before, we used to talk about trust but verify, whereby you will trust a system because someone has a password and they log into the system, trust that person is who they said they are. But now we're into an era by attackers beginning to assume that you are not. And an example I want to use to buttress that is you would see a lot of banks now for your mobile apps, they actually ask you to tie your mobile application to the device you are using. And if you are going to change your device, there is a process for changing. So they don't assume that.
And even the CBN has come up with new rules, new BVN rules that took effect this month, May 1. It's also a move to check fraud.
Yes, exactly. So if you're going to use another device, if you have to go and re-enroll, knock out the other device and re-enroll, and they will tie your user ID and your password to that device. That is the concept of zero trust.
Okay.
The mere fact you have a password does not mean that you are allowed to access the person's account from any device. You are not allowed. We have to trust the device you are using to ensure that before we give you access.
Okay, 2 questions, and I want you to answer them very briefly before we end. The outlook, I went through your outlook well, so these questions are coming from your report because I read it. So I'm not saying what I didn't read. Your outlook also mentioned election-related cyber risk. As we move ahead to 2027, how open or how vulnerable are Nigeria's public systems today? That's one. Then number 2, let me ask this question. If, for example, cybersecurity should be embedded. You said it should be embedded into business strategy, not IT. We should be accountable when breaches happen in organizations because sometimes we don't see that punishment. There could be internal punishment, as it were, but we should be held accountable when those breaches happen. Is it the CIO, or is it the CEO, or the board? So that some kind of accountability comes.
Okay, so that's a very, very good question. According to the CBN regulation, let me start from second. According to the CBN regulation, the board is actually accountable, and the CEO actually needs to take responsibility for cybersecurity within the environment. Yes, you will have what you call a Chief Information Security Officer, a CISO, but the CISO is to report to the CEO directly because it's a business issue. If a cyber attack happens today, it's not going to be IT that will be affected. It is the organization as a whole. You can erode shareholder value within minutes because of a cyber attack. So that's for the second question. In terms of the first question you asked about, can you just remind me? The first question about
the election 2027.
Yes. So we have seen a pattern that when the elections are approaching, there are a lot of attacks around government systems. So especially from hacktivists, these are people that hack for a cause, whether they want to make their demands known or they want to make their views known. And so government systems really need to beef up. and there would be more. There have been some that have happened this year already, and unfortunately there would be more, but we need to brace up and we need to ensure that whatever systems we are using, government systems, have been put to a stress test. We call it a health check. Let's do a health check on those systems and ensure that those systems are fine. The same way you will go to the hospital and you do a check on your health to ensure that you are fine. We need to do a health check on our systems, government systems and other systems that will be used during the elections to ensure that they are fine before we go into the election period proper.
All right, thank you very much, Funmi, for joining us. This conversation is not yet done. Because the report is quite elaborate. I'll see if I can do another edition on this, and to interrogate further, because cybersecurity is really something we should all take note of. So much fraud going up and down. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day and a lovely week.
Thank you. Have a lovely day too.
All right. I've been speaking on cyber security, and let's take a break. And when we return, the managing director of